So all these things, I mean, they could have easily left them out and made it a little bit classier than it is.
Yeah, I mean, it got a little too chaotic, didn't it? I mean, exactly what I had the exact same feeling what you're saying. It was a single day story and in the same location. So that actually you do run the risk of getting repetitive. And here I felt specifically they were getting a little overindulgent as well with the humor. They were getting slightly carried away. They were stretching it.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to All Things Cinema Vodcast. This is me, Keshav, and Farad coming back to you again with yet another video. Just wanted to say to all the people out here that now this channel is completely cinema based, dedicated to cinema, and I have music for all the music lovers. You can find the link in the description. I have made a new channel. I put out a new song just day before yesterday, and I'm sure you would love the song. Please go check it out. It's a beginning. It's a beginning of a new independent music career for me, and I promise that I'll be coming with songs almost every couple of months from here on, new original songs, and not just in Hindi. I'll be doing Malayalam and Tamil songs as well. So that's something I'm sure that would be lucrative enough for you guys to go and check out that channel and subscribe to it and support me there as you have always supported here. So we are going to talk about a film that has not really made a lot of noise since it has come out because of a few different factors, you could say. Because first of all, Kurup has come in theater, so this film has sort of went under the radar, and uh, it's also although it has got Nivin Pauly, but I think another reason why it might not be in the limelight is because it has come out on Hotstar, which let's accept or admit that not a lot of people have the access to as much as Amazon and Netflix. So we are talking about Kanakam Kaamini Kalaham, which I remember it was something to do with money and women and war, as the subtitles came. So the film starts with a very interesting actually approach. The way they have put out the credits, Farad. I mean, the film at the beginning itself it had me interested because I didn't watch the trailer. I had no idea what I was in for, and the way it started, I knew this has some sort of comic element to it, and really interesting approach to tell the credits. So were you also surprised and impressed by the approach of opening credits?
Yeah, Keshav. So actually, I've also written my review on my site, Popcorn Reviews, whose description you can leave, whose link you can leave in the description link. So there were a couple of reasons. I mean, I did not earlier watch the trailer of the film. I wanted to go into it blank, but there were a couple of reasons why I was looking forward to that, which is why I made this pick before any other films for the weekend. So one was definitely Nivin Pauly, who's returned to the screen, silver screen. It was, I think, last movie that I had watched is one of my favorites, by the way. And last movie that I had watched of his was Muthon, which was excellent for me. It was probably the film of the year for me. I watched it in 2020 while it was out in 2019 earlier. Second reason was the director, uh, Ratheesh Balakrishnan, who had earlier directed Android Kunjappan, which is a very critically acclaimed film. So these were the two reasons, and thirdly, being a Malayalam film by its own, it by uh, order, it actually creates that curiosity in me because of the content that has been served to us this year.
Yeah. Plus,
So,
we have seen and analyzed and reviewed so much of
yeah,
Malayalam cinema on our channel ever since we started. I think Malayalam has been the most covered cinema on
uh-huh,
our channel, but I don't think or I can't recall when we did a very out and out comedy film like this, a very loud
yeah,
comedy like this, because all the films so far have been generally of very serious nature, and if even if there was comedy, it was very undertone, and it was not really the in the foreground as this one. So in that way
Yeah.
also, I was kind of interested to see how Malayalam cinema portrays comedy, or even it's. I won't say it's out and out comedy because there are a couple of serious things as well that are being talked about here. It's you could say it is in a way it's dark comedy in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it has all ranges of comedy from dark to say situational to slapstick. It has it all, I feel. Um, for me, this is an out and out comedy. I think the closest movie that we have discussed in a somewhat comedy genre was #Home,
Yeah.
which was in that comic drama, more of drama, less of
It got
comedy
very
space.
serious by the end, no? So this one is like,
Yeah,
uh,
it was not an out and out comedy. #Home was not an out and out comedy, but this is for me. It is totally an out and out comedy because simply because of the situation that was created. You know, when a bickering couple, they actually to mend their relationship, they go to a vacation at a reclusive resort where the drama unfolds. You know, so this was. It reminded me of, with all due respect, in my opinion, it reminded me of the Hindi film De Danadan, directed by Priyadarshan. Only the setting, okay, not the story, but only the setting, because it was situated in the hotel with a lot of comic caper that was there. It gave that De Danadan vibes to it.
and how
For
the whole sort of hotel becomes a part of everyone becomes a part of that whole mess up.
Yeah. So I think, speaking of the positives, I think one of the biggest positive for me in this film was the characterization again. I mean, each character that was there, they were so well fleshed out. You know, they actually had a unique trait which was adding to the chaos.
Yeah.
You know, and I think one of my favorite characters in the film was, I think, Jobby, who was played by Vinay Ford. Is totally a mad character. I mean, I just felt sorry for him. I was laughing at him. I was laughing with him, and that expression that he gave, you know, of that shock and that scaredness when he gets that call, it was hilarious for me. So I think for me, he was my favorite character of the film.
Yeah, and
Uh,
he's
yeah,
when people confuse him with Dhobi and all those names. And I think as much as the earrings, even his phone, Joby's phone was also very important and pivotal in the film. And the way his girlfriend keeps calling him, so that was like
and that ringtone.
yeah, ringtone, of course, Hallelujah, and it's kind of like like in Rohit Shetty films, if you remember how Johnny Lever would suddenly time to time that he keeps forgetting things, so that comes to him. So here that ringtone played that sort of suspense that okay, now it's coming, now that phone is coming. So yeah, Vinay
Uh,
nailed it.
Totally. I mean, and I think even all other characters, I think they were so well fleshed out. You know, like and the situations that were created, those were also quite interesting to watch. The only criticism that I had, and it's a major criticism for me, actually, there are a couple of criticisms. One definitely was that some of the humor that was there, it had that cultural reference which just went under the bed for me. I mean, I did not understand that humor that was there. Second was also the
But how could that be a
dialogues that
criticism?
were there.
How could
Sorry.
having cultural references as humor, how can that be criticism? Because if it's a Malayali film, if it's a Malayalam film for Malayali people, then I don't think there's any harm in that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm looking at it from a global audience. I mean, I do not speak Malayalam, so I'm just talking from my point of view. That for me specifically, that was a negative point for me as well. I'm not faulting the film for that. I'm faulting like my intellect for that, or my understanding of Malayalam reference as a, that was there. They had some reference of Mohanlal or Mammootty, which
But
of some 1989 film, which I did not
so
understand.
that way,
Honestly.
if we watch anything outside of our region or our culture, like even if we west anything out west, Like for example, Friends. So there were so many jokes even in Friends which had so much of American pop culture references. So
Yeah.
of course you didn't understand all of the jokes in the first go. You took time, or in multiple viewings you probably got to know, or maybe you had to read trivia somewhere to understand those jokes. So same way I think here also, I mean, we can't fault it to the director or the makers that why
No,
did
no, no,
they
not
not
at
keep
all.
a very global taste in the humor. It's
No,
totally.
no, no. Yeah, so it's not the director or the writer who I am questioning. I'm just questioning from my point of view. It was just from my. And second thing also, I felt, and here I think the impact is a little higher than what I said. That some of the dialogues, the humor that was there, they were getting lost in translation basically because you're watching with English subtitles. So, for an example, if it can work the other way also. If a non Hindi speaking audience, say someone from say Europe or somewhere, they watch a film like Hera Fairy or Andaz Apna Apna, they will not get those punchlines that were actually being thrown in with the subtitles. So I felt that was a little break in communication also as far as non-Malayalam speaking or understanding audience were. I can speak for myself at least. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, there was a little disconnect because of that. And third criticism also was that some of the jokes that were there, I felt they were a little stretched. Uh, they could have, I at one point I said, yeah, I got it. Now we can get a move on for that. And I also felt the starting that was there, and I would like your opinion on that as well. That the start when they were actually dedicating a good 25 minutes to the relationship between Nivin Pauly and Grace Antony, and the bickering and the gap that was there in their relationship, that they were, I think, exploring for a good 25 minutes, which I felt in the context of the film it wasn't really required. I felt they could have started the movie right at the hotel or the resort itself, and that would have still been equally effective, and it could have lessened the runtime in the overall picture also. I think 2 hours for me was a little long for a movie that is set at one location. It could have been 1 hour 50 minutes, 45 minutes, and it would have been a better, crisper edit, I feel. What is your opinion on that?
I I was okay with it because see, they were sort of laying the foundation of the the what was to come later on, because I think the base of this whole situational comedy of errors was the fact that these two are not as compatible. So for those 20-25 minutes were important to lay out the ground rules that this Jimmy or that earring, they had to build up towards it, why he buys them, why it's so important for him to hide the originality, that it's not real gold, why he had to go through all those hardships, just so she doesn't come to know that it's not real gold. So I was okay with that, but I agree that the film at 2 hours is a little too much, because it was not consistently funny. Like at times, as you said, there were stretches in parts where you didn't really feel as funny as other parts. So that way, I think the film definitely could have been shorter. Not saying that the first 20 minutes could have been edited out. I was okay with that because if you remember, so he has this sort of insecurity as well from her wife, that she was a known actress and he hasn't really made it. So just like so I'm also wearing Marvel t-shirt. So just like in Marvel films, they always say after the credits you have to wait for the end scenes. So here also, if you noticed, after the credits there was a scene where she's playing the lead role again, and then
Yeah.
he's in the extras, and then he's removed from that also. So it, in a way, it all came full circle, because it started with the fact that he didn't let her work because of the insecurities or whatever. I mean, he is not able to make it himself, and then at the end, she's still there, playing the lead, and he's still struggling. So in between, what happened was was, the comedy of errors and what's the film was all about. So I was okay with the way they sort of laid the foundation in the beginning for this. And now
Okay,
I think
yeah.
it's also, it's like, usually in a Nivin Pauly film you would expect him to lead the film, or be a one man show, but here it's not the case, because as you said earlier, everyone here has got so much of meat to their character, and uh, be it Vinay Fort, Grace Antony, Nivin Pauly. I mean, these three are still known people. They have done so much of work. I remember Grace Antony and Kumbalagi Nights, wife of Shami, and Vinay, as you said, and Malik. And I think this guy, for me, Rajesh Madhavan playing Manaf, his expressions were also so funny in themselves, and even that drunk guy, Sura, played by Jafar Idiki. So many, characters very different from each other, and that's why I think the dynamics between them, the energy rubbing off each other and reacting to each other, that really, that was, I think, the reason behind this organic comedy, which is so missing in Bollywood. For so long, I have not seen a really proper good comedy film. Maybe I could say Loot Case was the last one, but these kind of films also come very once in a while now. If you remember in yesteryears, Priyadarshan would keep coming with all these, from Malamal Weekly, Chup Chup Ke, Fir Hera Feri, Hangama, Halchal, Dhol, all these dhamal. So now it's missing. So that way it was very refreshing for me to see a very Priyadarshan kind of comedy film.
Yeah, you can call this an ode to Priyadarshan film of, style of filmmaking, you can say.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, they just are known to create, dynamics between the characters, and the characterization that was there, the situation that was created. The only thing was that they could have kept it a little constrained. That was the only thing here, and that was the major thing here. Why I have rated the movie that I have. It could have been a little higher rating had it been taken care. Simply because I think at the end of the day, it was like a single day story. If you cut out the first 25 minutes and the last 5 odd minutes, it was a single day story and in the same location. So that actually you do run the risk of getting repetitive. And here I felt specifically they were getting a little overindulgent as well, with the humor. They were getting slightly carried away. They were stretching it.
The
Like for example,
one criticism that I can think of is by the end, when that manager is trying to force himself upon Hari.
yeah,
I mean, that was not needed, and they didn't even
that
resolve
came
it.
out of the blue.
Yeah,
Yeah, they that came out of the blue completely.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And they didn't even resolve it the way it should have been. It wasn't dealt with properly.
yeah,
There were so many likable things, like between Shalini and Haripriya when she checks her bag.
yeah, yeah.
That was kind of a, that had a feminine side to it as well. But this, when this came out of the blue, and I was like, what? And then when Manaf is eloping with some bride. So all these things, I mean, they could have easily left them out and made it a little bit classier than it is.
Yeah, I mean, it got a little too chaotic, didn't it? I mean, exactly what I had the exact same feeling what you're saying. Probably that was a way of the writer and the director giving a revelation as to who had actually stolen the earrings. But I mean, this was I don't know. It just came out of the blue. It was very sudden. It wasn't required, and yeah, it didn't get concluded as well. She just seemed fine the very next second after being,
Yeah. Just
partly molested as well.
just because she found the earrings doesn't mean that you
Yeah,
will let go something so offensive like that. I mean, forget about earrings. When something
yeah.
like that would happen to a woman in real life, she would.
It was very distasteful, the way it was. I mean, that revelation could have been so much more in a different manner. Uh, I think even the emotional angle wasn't required. This because the tone of the film was comedy. They should have stuck with that. I was enjoying the the banter between Haripriya and Shalini. The small glances they were giving. But then at the end of it, they started sympathizing with one another, and it just got a little too messy in the second half. I would say second half was a little. It didn't conclude well, though they tried to introduce dark humor that they were partly successful as well. I mean, when the earrings, they fall into the mouth of that drunkard, that seemed to work for me. But on either side of that, I mean, it wasn't
Yeah,
something that,
even Sura's character, that drunkard guy, I mean, that was also overly done because yes, he was funny and
yeah,
he was adding a comic angle to the premise, but out of all the side characters, he got the most airtime, and at one point, you start feeling okay. I mean, ठीक है, we get that he's drunk and he's behaving in a way in such a way because it adds to the comic angle, but it was overly done for me, and the way he keeps vomiting, and it's kind of like there are some people who gets pleasure out of others' miseries. In a way, it's sadism. So we can understand. We have seen such characters, and in North India, I've seen a lot of such people. Who would just who will have nothing at all to do with a particular fight or any scene happening out there, but they would go there and आग में घी डालने वाली जो एक proverb है, so they do that and they get a kick out of it. So that way, I can understand why they had written out these sort of characters. But yeah, I mean, but at the same time, there were so many funny things to take home as well. Like when
yeah,
Manaf literally he churns out the whole the dialogues from that guy's book and twice in the very same tone, and and then that writer, the novelist himself gets so sad that I only had one fan and in front of him I was humiliated. So so that was really, and another thing which I couldn't forget was a fine apple fine apple juice. That was really good.
I like the psychiatrist joke. I mean, that was like on point. I was really laughing on that. He said psycho, he said no psychiatrist. So that was really funny for me. I think particularly the first half was quite, entertaining, and quite even the second half was quite watchable for that matter. But I think there were few overindulgence and few unnecessary plot points which could have been avoided. I mean, that was the hindrance here, which is unlike a Malayalam film that we would usually see. So which made me to think that this is one movie that I did not really like. At the same time, I did not really not like. It was somewhere in the middle. It was
Yeah, I
a
mean,
good one time watch for me.
yeah, it you won't feel by the end that you've wasted your time.
Hmm.
You will end with like a satisfied feeling and maybe a smile
Yeah,
on your
decently
face as well.
satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah,
Though
and
not the best Malayalam film of the year by any stretch of imagination.
but I mean, in this sort of genre, it's always a hit or a miss because see,
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah.
funny is probably
I
the
agree.
hardest thing to do for a consistent period of time. That's why this art is probably missing in Bollywood as well, and
Hmm.
you don't really see a lot of out and out comedy films which prevailed in yesteryear. So it's a hard genre to be successful at. Something which Priyadarshan did for a while, and now even he's failing. If you remember Hangama 2, that was so bad. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, we can cut them some slack, but they've tried at least, uh, to be maybe half successful, if not fully. And
Yeah.
this director is a dependable director as well. As you pointed out, Android Kunyappam was is such a good film, and that starred, I think, Suraj as an 80-year-old, if I'm not wrong. So
Yeah,
that
and Shobin was also good.
yeah. So we
Okay.
should do that as well. We should watch that film and do a podcast on that as well, as people keep asking us. So anyway, I think, and if I'm not wrong, Nivin Pauly also produced this film. So
Yeah.
he must have seen some, some sort of potential in this idea, and the fact that it's Ratheesh Balakrishnan behind the scenes. Also, just at the beginning, I noticed when that announcer is saying the credits names in the opening credit scene. So when he says Ratheesh Balakrishnan, so there is another voice which says Podwal, but he says no, I will not make any jokes on caste. So that was another interesting take. So yeah, so I think if so, people who are watching this, if you have not seen this film, you can definitely watch this. You won't regret this. I mean, if you have got some time, it's a weekend. If you want some good family comedy sort of night out, then you can definitely give it a go. You won't regret it. And yeah, so thank you for watching, and so thank you, Farad, and we'll probably see you guys very soon. Keep subscribing, keep liking and commenting, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.